This workshop is designed to give your participants the basic tools you need to initiate and manage their meetings. They will learn planning and leading techniques that will give them the confidence to run a meeting that will engage the attendees and leave a positive and lasting impression. Through this workshop, your participants will learn the needed skills in planning and implementing a successful meeting. The meeting management workshop will explore how to reduce waste and make meetings more efficient. This is a hands-on workshop, and your participation will help make it a valuable experience. Use this time to begin the process of developing your skills along with other participants who share the same desire to improve their meeting management skills.
Meeting Management, Module 1, Getting Started. Welcome to the Meeting Management Workshop. You are on your first project and you have to organize and manage the project kickoff meeting. What do you do first? Do you create the agenda or the invitation list? How do you run a meeting? What preparation do you need? All of these are valid and real questions you as the meeting manager must address. There is no doubt about it. Meetings require skill and technique in order for the meeting to achieve its purpose. Disorganized and poorly managed meetings waste time and hurt your credibility as a meeting manager. Consistently leaving a poor impression with the attendees will haunt you if left unchecked. This training course is designed to give you the basic tools you need to initiate and manage your meetings. You will learn planning and leading techniques that will give you the confidence to run a meeting that will engage your attendees and leave a positive and lasting impression. Module 2, Planning and Preparing, Part 1. The first step in making your meeting effective begins with your planning and preparation activity. Determining the purpose of your meeting, the people who should attend, and the place of the meeting will form the foundation on which you build your agenda, decide what materials you need, and identify the roles each attendee holds in the meeting. In addition, planning and preparing for your meeting helps to reduce the stress that may result from managing a meeting, because you will avoid unexpected incidents and issues that could derail your meeting. This module is part 1 of your planning session, which focuses on important factors that could affect the success of your meeting. These factors are the people, place, and purpose of the meeting. Let us take a closer look to see how we can organize this to your success. Identifying the participants. Determining your meeting participants is an important planning step. You should not approach this casually. Who attends your meeting could help or hinder the meeting dynamics. There is a tendency to invite everyone you know in an effort to cover all angles. This is overkill. Before you think about whom to invite, think about the purpose of the meeting. This will help you determine who should be invited. Be specific when determining the purpose of the meeting. For example, if you are meeting to resolve a problem, invite only those who are capable of providing solutions to the problem. Avoid inviting a high-ranking member who could thwart solutions before they are developed. On the other hand, if your meeting is to come to a decision on a policy or product, do not invite people who do not have the power to enact those changes. Having people who cannot contribute to the meeting will exclude them and affect the meeting environment. Identifying the purpose of your meeting first will help to determine who should attend. Here are some common reasons to call a meeting: problem solving, decision making, conflict resolution, project initiation, planning, brainstorming. Once you determine your meeting purpose, you can list all the names of the participants you wish to attend. Once this list is created, then determine what each participant will contribute to the meeting. If a participant is deemed a non-contributor, they should be removed from the list. When all non-contributors are removed, you should have a good list of participants for your meeting. Choosing the time and place. There are several considerations you must address when planning the time and place of your meeting. For instance, the time of day is essential if your meeting is meant to be a brainstorming session or problem-solving meeting. Setting these types of meetings right after lunch or late in the day could be a frustrating experience. Humans after lunch are usually lethargic, and meetings at the end of the day are plagued with participants looking at the clock in anticipation to leave work and go home. Meetings that require energy and high levels of participation are best scheduled between 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning. Most workers are not engaged in their daily work yet, so you will have their attention and energy for use in your meeting. The next best time for a meeting is around 3 p.m. This gives your participants enough time to recuperate from their lunchtime meal. It also gives you at least an hour of cushion before your participants start thinking about going home. Meetings that are low-key could be scheduled anytime during the day. Just remember not to schedule them too close to lunch or the end of the workday. The location is also important to your meeting dynamics. Try to schedule your meeting in a well-lit, spacious room. If you can get a room with windows, do so. Dark and cramped rooms will bog down your meeting. Some people get claustrophobic and are distracted by their surroundings. A couple of other things to consider are the need for privacy or if you intend to have an outside visitor attend. If the meeting topic is of a sensitive nature, then getting a room with more privacy will make participants more comfortable to discuss the issue. Furthermore, if you plan to have an outside visitor attend your meeting, get a room that is closest to the main entrance. This way your visitor does not have to search the halls of your organization in search of your meeting. Creating the agenda. Creating the agenda can be easy if you know what to do in advance. The SOAP technique helps to collect the topics, organize them, and select the ones that will contribute the most to your meeting. Seek topics from your participants. Send an email to the list of participants you created asking for agenda topics. Give a brief explanation of the purpose of the meeting and an idea of what you are looking for in terms of topics. Do not make this the formal invitation. When you make the request, make sure you ask the participants for the time they need to discuss their topic and provide a deadline to get their topic to you so it can be included on the agenda. Organize topics into a list. Once you receive the topics, organize them into a list along with the time and the name of the presenter. This will give you the ability to scan through the list, narrowing it down to the topics you will select for the agenda. Assess which topics are relevant to the meeting purpose. With your list organized, determine which topics are the most relevant to the purpose of the meeting. Scratch out those topics you do not intend to use. Pick the number of relevant topics that will fit into your meeting time. Review the time of the remaining topics. Select enough topics to fill the time of your meeting minus 10 minutes. Give yourself 10 minutes for meeting overrun. If you go over, you will end on time. If you do not, then you get to adjourn your meeting early, making everyone happy. Remember to contact the presenter that had their topic removed from the agenda, explaining the reason why it was not put on the agenda and recommending that topic be saved for another meeting.
Caroline sought Gretchen out after a meeting and said, "Gretchen, I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed that meeting. It ran very smoothly and I appreciate that it ended on time." Gretchen nodded. "I took some extra time to plan with the hope that it would run smoothly. Thank you for saying so." "I have an upcoming meeting to prepare for," Caroline said. "It's my first. Would you be available to offer me some pointers?" Gretchen assured Carolyn that she would be more than happy to help her with some tips for preparing an impressive first meeting.
Module 3, Planning and Preparing, Part 2. The last module dealt with the participant planning aspect of your meeting. In this module, you will learn how to gather the things you need to help facilitate the meeting more effectively. In addition, you will learn how to structure your invitation so you can communicate your meeting in a way that is consistent and sets expectations. Finally, you will understand the importance of making the logistical arrangements in advance, avoiding any last-minute mishaps. Gathering materials. Each meeting you hold will require both basic and special materials. Your job as the meeting manager is to determine what you need and acquire them in advance, avoiding last-minute surprises. The SHOW's acronym stands for Stationery, Handouts, Organizer, Writing Tools, and Special Requests. Let us break down each letter so you get a better understanding of what this means. Stationery. This is all the paper you will need at the meeting. It includes notepads, sticky notes, index cards, envelopes, tape, paper clips, folders, and flip chart. Each meeting is different. You do not have to bring everything on this list. Determine what is going to take place at the meeting and materials needed for each activity or presentation. It is also wise to consult with the people on your agenda to see if they are going to facilitate activities that require stationery. Handouts. Many times you or your presenters will need to distribute handouts. There could be a worksheet or an outline from an electronic presentation. In any case, you should consult with your presenters and acquire any handouts they may use. Determine if the handout they are giving you will be the most up-to-date version. If not, have them send it to you when they finalize it. Remember to set the expectation to have it a day or so in advance, giving you time to print and file it in your handout organizer. Organizer. When it is time to meet, the last thing you want to do is show up with a stack of handouts. Using an organizer like a portable accordion file or Pendaflex is an easy way to file your handouts and other stationery materials in one container. The filing system will allow you to file the documents in an orderly fashion, making distribution of the materials more professional. You want to avoid shuffling handouts around in front of your participants when it comes time to distribute them. Writing tools. This includes pens, markers, highlighters, and dry erase markers you may need for your meeting. Special requests. From time to time, your presenters may make a special request. An example could be a poster. Ask your presenters ahead of time for special requests. Sending invitations. Many times invitations are sent without much thought. We figure the sending mechanism, whether it is Outlook or any other type of electronic program, will do the job effectively. It is wise to use an electronic tool for your invitation, however, there is more thought that should go into it. The 3 Ps approach gives a consistent and clear method of structuring your meeting invitation. Here is the breakdown. Purpose. The purpose of your meeting must be stated up front. It is not enough to put in the subject line, planning session. The vagueness of your purpose could result in low attendance. Be specific with your purpose. Instead of planning session, you could state, planning our budget for the first quarter. In addition, you should attach your agenda, which gives more detail of the discussion topics. Place and time. Determine ahead of time where and when the meeting will take place. Avoid sending out invitations with a to-be-determined message. The more effort you place on getting the details done in advance, the more your attendees will take you seriously. In addition, provide clear instructions on the exact location. Pact. Create a sense of binding agreement by setting expectations so you get the most responses as soon as possible with a level of commitment. For example, state, please respond to this invitation within 48 hours. Also, set a cancellation policy by stating, if you need to cancel, please call or email me as soon as possible. You could also include a statement that says, upon acceptance of this invitation, you are expected to attend. Finally, you could also include a statement like this. This meeting is a planned session and your participation and idea sharing will be greatly appreciated. Structuring your invitation with clear and concise information and expectations sends the message that you are seriously managing this meeting. You do not want to be famous for holding boring and inefficient meetings. This is something that takes a long time to correct. Making logistical arrangements. There are several areas where you should be planning the logistics. Physical space. Consider the space in which you plan to hold your meeting. Is it on-site or off-site? Do you need to make reservations? Does it need to be set up? Do you have to contact your facilities department to remove or add partitions? Do you need furniture removed? Travel. Identify who will need to travel to your meeting. Do they need travel arrangements? Do they need transportation to and from the meeting location? Do you have to make security aware of their presence so they are not held up at the door? Food. Determine if you need to organize meals. Is your meeting starting early in the morning and you need to serve a light breakfast? Is your meeting all day? Are you going to cater food? Are you planning to have lunch at a local restaurant? Do you need to make reservations? Audio and visual. Later, there will be a discussion on electronic options. However, if you plan to use electronics like a presentation or video, do you have to get this placed in the meeting room? Are you savvy enough in troubleshooting technical problems or do you need a technical assistant? Do you need a projector, screen, computer, etc.? Do you need a sound system set up so everyone can hear the presenters? Signage. Do you need to get signs, posters, special handouts made up for your meeting?
Greg and Kareem had planned a meeting to discuss how to increase sales during the low season. Greg said, I've sent out the invitations and am waiting to hear back from Christine and Stephen. They assure me they will confirm their topics by the end of today. Kareem said, I am waiting to confirm use of the large meeting room upstairs, and I've arranged for coffee, muffins, and fruit for our early morning meeting. Yes, Greg said, opening up the file. I'm feeling good about this meeting. Our preparation will pay off. I'm certain that by the end of next week, we will have a great plan for moving forward. Greg and Kareem looked over the proposed agenda once more, considering Christine and Stephen's input, and reassured themselves that their meeting would be a success.
Module 4, Setting up the meeting space. You are now ready to set up the meeting space. There are many things to consider that will determine what needs to be included in your setup. In the last module, you planned for the things you need. In this module, you are going to put it all together. Although this may seem like a trivial step, you should not take it for granted. The difference from an okay meeting to a remarkable meeting could be the small details. Let us begin with the basics. The basic essentials. Having a predefined list for setting up your meeting is a useful tool, and we are going to discuss the setup of your meeting using a handout over the next 3 lessons. In the first section, you will see a simple list of items comprising of the basic essentials in setting up the meeting space. The list consists of the following items: sufficient number of tables and chairs, power strips for laptops and other electronic devices, audio and visual setup, whiteboard with markers and eraser, lectern, water, verify the room temperature is comfortable, microphone for large meetings, projector, laptop, verify room is located in quiet and private area. Make sure you get to the meeting place early enough, giving you time to set up the room without the participants seeing you do it. Getting caught setting up the room gives the impression that you were unprepared, which could affect your meeting environment. The extra touches. Extra touches make your meeting more meaningful to your participants. Your handout from the last lesson outlines some items you can incorporate in your meeting setup. Let's review some of the extra touches. Name tents already printed and set up on the tables. Table with name tags for each participant already printed. Projector on with a welcome message illuminating on the screen. Signage outside the meeting room professionally done. Keepsake or logo item at each place setting. Music before meeting starts and during breaks. Folder with all meeting materials inside, i.e. agendas, handouts, etc. Candy or mints at the tables. Posters or visual aids posted around the meeting room. Professionally done looks better. Video playing relevant materials on the screen before the meeting starts. Coat rack during winter months. When it comes to adding the extra touches, be sure to gauge the audience and meeting purpose and plan accordingly. You do not want to create a celebratory experience when the meeting is about cutting costs, etc. Otherwise, going the extra mile helps to make your meeting more effective by creating a personalized environment. Choosing a physical arrangement. The types of activities that are involved in your meeting could help you determine the physical setup. However, before you think further on this topic, let us review some basic setups. Conference-style seating. This is the basic long rectangular or oval-shaped table. This type of setup is good for short meetings with less than 30 participants. You would use this for small training sessions and close interactions. U-shaped seating. This is a setup where the table forms a U-shape. This is effective where face-to-face interaction is desired. This setup also accommodates larger groups. T-shaped seating. This design sets up the tables in a T-shape. This is also used for face-to-face and large group meetings. However, this shape allows for a leader to sit at the cross point. Classroom-style seating. This type of seating is best when learning is going to take place and the participants need to take notes. This style can be used for both large and small groups. Knowing the various styles of seating arrangements helps to determine which to use based on the activity. Below are some suggestions. Planning meeting, conference-style seating. Product sales training, classroom-style seating. Strategy sharing meeting, T-shaped style seating. Project update meeting, U-shaped style seating. The physical arrangement of the meeting room should always focus on providing a comfortable setup where all participants are able to view the presenter, other participants, screens, and flip chart and whiteboards.
Madeline took great care in preparing her training session. She determined that a U-shaped conference would work best for her, as she had planned for a lot of participant interaction through brainstorming and discussion. As Madeline walked around the meeting room, she took pride in her finished product. The participant name tents and handouts were placed on the tables. Music played while she waited for the participants to arrive, and her welcome sign was projected on the wall at the front of the room. As participants arrived, Madeline greeted each of them and offered them some coffee and muffins. Madeline smiled and felt she was ready for the meeting.
Module 5 Electronic Options. Advancements in technology have made meetings more effective by providing ways of communicating and storing meeting information. Although many new tools are available to help give your meetings that cutting-edge feel, there are many things to consider when determining electronic options. It is not always imperative to use new technology at your meeting, but having an understanding in advance helps to expand your choices. In this module, you will learn about the latest meeting tools available to you, things to consider, and reaching a decision. Overview of choices available. Electronics in meetings brings a wealth of advantages if used properly. Technology has increased the reach of the meeting room into the virtual world. You are capable of connecting with participants anywhere in the world. Technology also expands your ability to disseminate and record information. This lesson presents an overview of the various tools you can employ in your next meeting. Presentation software. Programs like Microsoft PowerPoint help to organize your materials into one file. Once the information is in the presentation program, you can make handouts that you can give to your participants as an agenda. Electronic whiteboard. An electronic whiteboard is an efficient way to write and record ideas all with one source. The electronic device acts like a normal whiteboard but uses special electronic markers. This electronic device also records the items written on the board for referencing later. Web meeting programs. Programs similar to Microsoft Live Meeting allow you to conduct your meeting via the internet. Voice, images from your desktop, and a webcam view of the meeting room and the individual. Video conferencing. This dedicated line uses cameras and television screens to connect two or more remote sites into one meeting. Telephone conferencing. This is a dedicated telephone line where many participants call in and participate in the meeting. There are many variations of the electronic tools listed in the lesson that you can use. You can have your company purchase these programs or use a pay-as-you-go product from an online vendor. Choosing the type of electronic tool depends on the audience, distance, and technological capabilities of the meeting place. Things to consider. The most important thing to consider when dealing with electronic meeting tools is your ability to use and troubleshoot them. Many things could affect the performance of the tools. You must be comfortable enough with the technology to deal with the unexpected. In order to avoid embarrassing issues during the meeting, you should test all systems and make sure your information technology or IT department supports them. In fact, you should always run your technology plans with your IT. They may need to do some back-end things to help support your video or web conferencing tool. Before you try using a new tool, get some training and practice. Understanding your electronic tool could take some reading and practice. Test the program with someone you know. Practice using the tool in smaller, more personal meetings before you decide to do it in a larger meeting with outside guests. Avoid using technology just for the sake of using it. Use it only when it is necessary. Make sure that the participants who will need to use the tools to participate are capable of using it themselves. The last thing you want is someone telling you in the middle of the meeting that they do not know how to launch the program. Here is a quick list of things to consider if you plan to use technology. Is the complexity of adding the technology outweighing the potential glitches? Are you capable enough to handle any issues that may arise during your meeting? Is your audience capable of handling the technology? Will you have adequate support from your IT department? Are there any costs that you have to consider? In any case, using technology requires knowledge. If you desire to use technology in your meetings, learn the system and practice, practice, practice. Finally, do not get carried away with technology. It becomes obvious when technology is being used just to dazzle the audience. This is distracting and reduces the effectiveness of your meeting. Making a final decision. This assessment allows you to determine quickly if you need to use technology or not. When making a decision determines the following. Am I proficient with the technology? Am I able to acquire someone who is proficient and can assist me with the technology? Will there be people connecting to my meeting from remote locations? Is there a large number of graphics that will be presented? Are the participants capable of using the technology? Does the meeting room support technology? Do you have IT support available? Do you have the budget to support the technology? If you answer no to any of these questions, determine the risk of going ahead with the technology. If it is too risky, avoid using the technology unless you must, like in the case of remote conferencing. Just make sure you get the training you need well in advance or get someone to be there as a technical helper if technology is unavoidable.
Bobby has been a trainer for many years and was assisting an intern Deirdre with her first training session. Together, they looked over her plan for material delivery. Bobby asked, "Do you plan to use PowerPoint?" Deirdre responded, "Yes, I've prepared what I feel is an excellent presentation, but really wanted to use more transitions to keep it interesting." "Great," Bobby said. "Let me show you how to add a few more details." Deirdre was appreciative of Bobby's input, and when the two finished their meeting, she felt very confident about going ahead with her training.
Module 6, Meeting Roles and Responsibilities. Establishing clear roles and responsibilities in your meeting helps to manage the meeting effectively. When roles are established, the participants have a clear understanding of what is taking place because the person in a specific role has a job to fulfill. Assigning roles also alleviates the task you have to manage. This way, you can focus on the role you are to manage within the meeting time. Remember that you do not have to do it all. Get others involved. In this module, you will learn the role of the chairperson, minute taker, and the attendees. Finally, you will learn how to vary the roles for large and small meetings. Let us begin first by identifying the role of the chairperson. The chairperson. The meeting chairperson is responsible for directing the proceedings of the meeting. They are time managers, referees, and enforcer of the rules when they are broken. The chairperson does not necessarily have to be you all the time, but when you do defer the chairperson's duty to someone other than you, make sure you are confident the chairperson you choose can handle the role. The chairperson must be able to lead the meeting and be firm throughout the meeting. Here are additional responsibilities of the chairperson. Be aware of the rules of the meeting if present. Keep to the aim or objective of the meeting. Remain fair with all participants. Start the meeting. Transition from agenda topic to the next. Introduce the next presenter. Handle disruptions. Some of the qualities a chairperson should possess are as follows. They should have some level of authority, demonstrate flexibility, remain impartial, display maturity. The role of the chairperson is essential if the meeting is to have some form of control. If you are the chairperson, make sure you do not take on additional roles. You want to remain focused on the tasks associated with the role of the chairperson. If you select another person to be the chairperson, it is a good practice to meet with him or her in advance of the meeting to coordinate the agenda and set expectations. You want to avoid miscommunication during the meeting, which could hurt the credibility of both your chairperson and yourself. The minute taker. Taking minutes requires some basic skills. For instance, a good minute taker will possess great listening skills and attention to detail. Furthermore, they should have excellent writing skills and communication skills. The person you select must be able to maintain focus and not be carried away with the meeting, missing crucial meeting information. It is best to select someone who is not directly involved in the meeting, allowing them not to participate. Here is a list of tasks the minute taker should handle. Before the meeting, determine what tool to use for recording the minutes. Example, laptop, paper, recording. Become familiar with the names of the attendees and who they are. Obtain the agenda and become familiar with the topics. During the meeting, take attendance, note the time the meeting begins, write the main ideas presented in the meeting and the contributor of that information, write down decisions made and who supported and opposed the decision, note follow-up items, note items to be discussed in the next meeting, note the end time of the meeting. After the meeting, type up the minutes immediately after the meeting if manual notes or recordings were taken, proofread the minutes and correct any errors in grammar and spelling, save or send the documents to the meeting owner. Using a template helps to keep the minute taking consistent. Remember to meet with the person you choose to be your minute taker before the meeting to go over the template. The attendees. The attendees are not excluded from assuming a role or having a responsibility in the meeting setting. Of course, you cannot force the responsibility on your attendees, but you can attempt to influence them. The attendees are the biggest success factor of your meeting. If they feel that they accomplished something in the meeting, they will applaud you. However, if they walk away feeling they wasted their time, this could affect your credibility. The following are responsibilities your attendees could assume. Prepare. Be prepared to contribute to the meeting. Be prepared to arrive early and avoid being late. Be prepared for the meeting by jotting down ideas and questions ahead of the meeting. Be prepared by reading the agenda before the meeting. Be prepared for a long meeting by getting enough rest the night before. Participate. Ask questions, take notes, share ideas. Productive. Avoid carrying side conversations. Remove distractions like cell phones and PDAs. Keep to the allotted time if on the agenda. Setting up expectations is the best way to communicate the roles of the attendees. This is accomplished in either the meeting invitation or separate email to the attendees. In any case, it's worth the time. Remember that all participants play a vital role in the meeting. Your job is to remind them of their role and the responsibility that comes with that role. Variations for large and small meetings. Large meetings present very different dynamics than smaller meetings. Managing a larger meeting requires more resources and assigned roles. If you are chairing the meeting yourself, you will need to rely on others to ensure all things are well executed. Here is a list of additional roles you may want to add when managing a large meeting. An extra minutes taker for better accuracy, a person to distribute all the materials related to the meeting, a person to greet attendees, a person to run the audio and visual equipment, a person to manage the hospitality aspect of your meeting, a co-chairperson, a person managing the presentation. On the other hand, in small meetings, you can assume multiple roles. For example, you can be the chairperson, technical person, and the minute taker in a small meeting. Small meetings are less formal and you can leverage the informal environment to multitask. You may need an assistant if the meeting is comprised of important people. In any situation, careful planning and assessing the risk of working with less roles will help you to determine what roles need to be filled. When in doubt, get more help. Err on the side of caution.
David stopped by Francine's office and asked if she required an assistant for the upcoming meeting. David had chaired meetings in the past and felt he could be an asset to Francine. Francine said, "I was considering asking you since this meeting is so large. I know I won't be able to multitask efficiently." David and Francine sat down together at lunch and looked over the agenda, the rules, and the objectives. They decided how to organize the whole meeting. Francine felt confident that David would fulfill his role as chairperson and not let her down. David thanked Francine for having faith in his abilities.